So I wanted to share this awesome story that happened to me last Thursday night. I went to the Kotel with Yossi Kushner. I hadn't been in Israel. I was in Chutz, and I was just coming back to Eretz Yisrael. I really wanted to be in Yerushalayim and learning so much, and especially when you learn Torah about Yerushalayim and you're not in Eretz Yisrael, it mamash hits in another way. So I was like yearning to get to Yerushalayim, even in Eretz Yisrael a while. So we went in Thursday night, and the goal was to get to Moshe Weinberger, who was giving over Torah in by Gross, by the YU compound, whatever over there. So we get to the Kotel, and the whole way there, obviously, we're talking Torah about what it's tefillah, and really getting into the shurish of why did Hashem create a world, and what does He want from us, and what's our role, and what's our purpose, and then when we got to the Kotel, we just continued talking about how to daven, and the different forms of prayer, and how does Hashem want us to daven, and what does it mean to be davening for Hashem, and for Tikkun HaShechina in a big way. How really, we went into how Rabbi Nachman teaches about the Chasrei Ma'at Melikim, that anything that you're personally feeling is really chisron only from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And obviously the Baal Shem Tov, all about this, about davening for Tikkun HaShechina, and we spoke about the Chavetz Chaim, everybody really teaches that at some point in our prayers we need to get out of ourselves and daven for Tikkun HaShechina. So that was really what we were talking about, and it was amazing to be sitting by the Kotel and spending 45 minutes, an hour, I don't know what it was, after a whole car ride, just mamash just talking about Hashem and our issues and His issues and Yehuda and all that. So after that, we each split up and went into daven. Baruch Hashem, this obviously is no place in the world like the Kotel, and had beautiful davenings. So it ended up going on much longer and much later. So instead of making it to Rav Moshe, it was already 12:30 by the time that we were walking away from the Kotel, and then we ended up going. My friend had never been down to the Kotel Katan, not the Kotel Katan, the southern wall. So there's a spot along the wall between the Kotel and the southern wall. You can go down over there and you can see the stones that the Romans threw down when they were breaking the walls, and it's a really special place, and nobody's there, especially in the evening. During the day, there's it's a mixed it's called Ezra Yisrael. It's a mixed section. In the evening, it's really calm and really peaceful. And so we went down there. We spent a whole bunch of time talking and looking and reminiscing and thinking and visualizing what it was like in the times of Beis Hamikdash. So by the time that we're walking out through the old city, we were just in another world. And obviously you're walking through the old city and you see the menorah that they built, and it's sitting in the middle of the square, and you see the yeshiva of the Rashash, and it's an incredible experience, and being there it puts you in another world entirely. And so you can imagine this is Thursday night, and you're already kind of on the way out from the Sheshes Yemei Ma'aseh, already into Shabbos, and so we were on another planet already, mamish just flying high. And we finally get to the car, and we end up having a whole issue getting the car. We parked in what's called that mall center over there. I forgot what it's called. And so you have to get in. You can't just go in the same way you come out. You go out to the garage. You have to go into the top, take the elevator down, etc. Fine. So we do that. We get out, and Baruch Hashem, we're on the way home, figuring we'll get home pretty soon. But as we're heading out, we end up hitting some interesting construction, and our car, we had to go this way and that way and pull off the road and get around. And then the tunnels between, if you're going from Givat Miftar or French Hill to the one, that road over there, the tunnels were closed. Now, we didn't say that at first, and Waze didn't know it. They must have just shut it right when we got there. So first we thought it was just a detour, like the first detour. So we're getting detoured this way, that way. Finally, I'm like, okay, let's just go through Yerushalayim. And we'll go out the one. The normal way, it's late at night anyway. Who's going to, the roads will be empty. So we drive up through Bar Ilan, and we pick up this hitchhiker. And it was just the funniest story, because the guy gets in the car, and we ask him, "Here, where you need to go?" "Don't worry, I'll tell you." And okay, and then he starts going, "Oh, you don't think you could talk behind my back? Because I also speak English." God forbid, we talk behind somebody's back. It was just like the funniest situation. And then he goes for a mile a minute telling us his whole life situation. And literally the whole hitchhike was only 90 seconds long because he jumped out of the car a minute later, and we were just both sitting there like, whoa, okay, let's just be open, mamash, for anything that Hashem sends us. But like, it was a super funny and odd situation. We ended up leaving Yerushalayim. We're on the way home. We turn off onto the 38, and there's a yidl on the side of the road, so we jump over. Baruch Hashem, we already give one hitchhike, so we get another one, and this guy jumps in the car. And this story this is where it just gets crazy. And he makes a comment like, oh, where do you need to go? Oh, don't worry, I know where you guys go. You just go and I'll tell you where I'm going to get off. Bit of an odd comment. My friend thought that maybe it was like an uncomfortable or weird comment, but he's like, does he mean anything bad? I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't know. Let's just go. So he turned, we start talking about, where we live, and, he's like, oh, I know where you guys live. You live in Aleph, and I could even tell you probably which streets you live on, because I know the different hak of every street, and all the different streets are different people. Okay, very good. And then he goes, so where do you guys daven? So he said, we daven in Karlbach. So he goes, oh, you guys like to sing Shira? So first we like to sing Shira time. So you think, so I said, yeah, I'm a Levi, Baruch Hashem. So then I started talking about the Beis Hamikdash. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to sing in the Beis Hamikdash. So he says, did you do Shira Leviim? So I said, honestly, the truth is that I don't know why I didn't get my invitation. I'm a card-carrying Levi member, and they left me out. He goes, oh, you don't want to be with those people anyway. So I said, really? What do you mean by those people? These are my brothers. And he said, no, what do you mean? They're not this, that, and the other. So I was like, whoa, listen. First of all, Kavalt, we're Mamish brothers. This is Am Yisrael we're talking about, and I'm Mamish looking forward to singing with them in the Beis Hamikdash. Like, I don't even know why you feel that there's anything that we want different from them. And he goes, really? You think that there's such a thing? Like, how do you, the different people, and they're not doing Ratzon Hashem? And of course, I'm jumping in. I'm like, you're kidding? This is Mamish Ikvus of the Mashiach, and I start going into all that, and then he's telling it's not Ikvus of the Mashiach, it's Ma'aseh Satan, and who knows, and nobody really knows. And so it's true, we don't know, but L'maisa we have to appreciate, give Shevach B'Hidayah for incredible goodness that Hashem is giving us now. This is, mamish amazing times. So we're having this somewhat schmooze, and not really a debate yet. And so I turned to him, I said, thinking, let me get it off to something a little bit less controversial, and make it a little bit more just sweet. So I said, we know that one of the inyanim of how Mashiach comes, it's called Kima Kima. We have a Masur from the Vilna Gaon, from many others. The idea of Kima Kima. Kima Kima means that everything comes little by little, or the way that we would like to see it happen. The sweet and gentle way is B'idach Hishena, that in its time it should come fast, but meaning that it shouldn't be too drawn out, because then Gevalt, we might not make it to the end. And on the other hand, it shouldn't be too fast. If Mashiach comes too soon, maybe too many people won't make it. They'll be cut off. But if you do it in a little bit, and also as it opens up, like the pangs of childbirth, like the contractions, and it slowly prepares us as we go on a contraction and then a relief, a contraction and then a relief, and that way people begin to see the picture, they begin to catch on, they begin to open up. So this idea of Kima Kima is that anything that's going to happen, Basof, is going to happen little by little as we're getting closer and closer to the end. So I said, so where do we see Tchias HaMesim? So he says, I don't know, maybe the fact that modern medicine is getting so good and people are living longer and longer. I said, oh, that's beautiful, beautiful thought. And he said, what do you think? So I said, I don't know, you probably have heard my Torah about the idea that in our times, there's so much going to Kivrei Tzadikim. And so much so that Kivrei Tzadikim has become a tourist destination. And that's Mamish Tchiyat HaMetim, that the dead people are now becoming alive. People want to go visit them. There's hundreds of thousands of people coming to Reb Shimon by Yochai, and there's tons of people by Baba Sali, and there's tons of people by the Baal Shem Tov, and Rabbi Nachman, and even by the Chavetz Chaim, and by the Vilna Gaon, and it's like a huge thing. In Muncie, everybody's by the Ribnitzer. The Kivrei Tzadikim, there's a thinning of the separation between what we used to accept as Misa and Sheikh Niafar, and what we accept as Chaim, as alive, and we begin to see it. And I said, not only that, said, but if you ask a random guy, a random Yidla, it used to be that the Arizal went around Eretz Yisrael, and Imam was able to point out the different kvarim of who was there, because he was able to see with Ruach HaKodesh, he was able to sense which tzaddik was buried in each place. There's even a Maisa where he sent Talmidim to go bring the neshama of a certain tzaddik, and when he came back, he looks at him and goes, "What caver did you go to? This is not the tzaddik I was talking to." He said, "This is somebody else. I wanted this person." And they're like, "Okay, we didn't know." They went, they said what they were told to say, but they were at the wrong caver. So, but these days, Gevalt, who's on the level of the Rizal, and who's not even on the level of the Rizal, even Pashat the Yidin, somebody doesn't even necessarily know how to learn Daf Gemara, but every Yidla, if you go to some Kivrei Tzadikim, and you ask them, you say, how do you feel when you're in this caver? What's the difference between being by the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman, Baba Sali, Rabbi Shimon? And people will tell you, say, wow, by this I experienced different things. I experienced different herhurim, I experienced different emotions, I experienced different forms of tefillah. And I'm telling this whole thing over to this whole conversation's obviously in Hebrew. And when I said, even a simple person who doesn't even know how to learn Daf Gemara can be margish, can feel the difference. And suddenly from the back of the car, I hear a shout, and he goes, Har Gashot, yelling. And I turn around and look at him, he goes, Har Gashot? What is this? You think you could feel things? You can't feel anything. There's no such thing as feelings in Avodas Hashem. And I look at this guy, Chassidish Yid, and I look at him, I'm blown away. I'm like, what? You never heard? You joking? Have you ever opened the Piasetzna? Have you ever learned some different Chassidus? So Avodas Hashem can't be done without recognizing that you have a neshama, a ruach, a nefesh. And at this point, this is where Mamash went crazy. And I'm like, Mamash, how could you say such a thing? This is Mamash what it means to be a Yid, to have feelings. And he goes, well, I'll tell you why it doesn't make sense. He goes, I have two friends. One's a Breslover and one's a Chernobyler. And the Breslover, when he goes to Rabbi Nachman, he feels something, and by the Baal Shem Tov, he feels nothing. And the Chernobyler, when he goes to the Baal Shem Tov, he feels something, and by Rabbi Nachman, he feels nothing. So don't you see so clearly? Look, no, they clearly don't feel anything. So I laughed. I was like, it's so funny. Like, that's where you find something. That's the biggest proof. Because look, people have different sharish and shama. People feel different things. People are connected to different things, and that's why different people are connected to different things. And he goes, yeah, but I was just by the Kotel. And I was like, really? We were also just by the Kotel. And he goes, well, I was just by the Kotel, and by the Kotel, there were these teenagers that were not connected to Hashem, and they were joking and laughing and thinking it was a joke. Where were their feelings? If feelings are something, how come they didn't feel anything by the holiest place, by the Kotel Marabi? So I looked and I said, listen, just like a child needs to develop feelings and emotions and senses, and you can't necessarily tell a difference until you practice and you get used to certain sensations. Gewalt, not everybody's able to feel it right away every single time, and there's something called Timtum Alev, there's something called Arlas Alev. Like, sadly, people can cover it up, or people can ignore it. Sometimes somebody feels a pain or an emotion, and if you don't give space, if you're not opening it up, if you're not giving the space for your lave to communicate with you, if you don't open up to allow to be open to neshama communications, ruach communications, nefesh communications, you can close it up the same way people close up, all sorts of emotional issues and intuitions, etc. And he goes, why? This can't be. And I said, really? I said, you doubt the koyach of a nishmas Yisrael? And at this point, I'm like, Mamash yelling. I'm like, you know how strong a nishmas Yisrael is? You know what it means to have a nishmas shakai, a nishmas eliki? You know how incredible that is? It's so amazing that even if somebody, Mamash, is in the middle of a tintum and has Harlas Alev, he still can feel it. There's no such thing in the world. We're talking about the strongest thing in the world, even the greatest Koyach HaTumah, however strong it is, there's still moments that the Neshama is going to break through. It's going to break through. A Nishmas Yehudi is so strong, and the Nishmas Yehudi. And he looks, and he's Mamash is like, okay, whoa, wow, maybe I Mamash needed to come all this way to hear this. But then I said, you gotta Mamash love these Yidden. And he goes, love these Yidden. How could you love a Yid that how could you love a Yid that mamash is so disconnected, is doing things to anger Hashem? You can't love somebody like that. And he looks at me, he says, Yehuda, if you had a brother who mamash hated your father, and he was mean to him, and he did disgusting things just to anger him, would you be able to give him a hug? So I turned around and I said, my sweet brother, let me tell you something. I'm a father. And if I had two sons, and one son didn't know who I was, and he had no relationship with me, and because of that, he mamish hated me. And he didn't even know who I was, but he mamish hated me. He hated me because he saw certain things that happened, and he hated me, and he was doing horrible things to me. But I had another son who did know who I was, who did care about me. And this other son was able to turn and go to that other son and be able to give him a hug. I said, not only would I want him to hug him, I'd want him to be a shliach for me to give him hugs and to give him love and to care for him. The thing that I want most in the world is shalom between my children, for them to be besimcha and happy. And you know something? Guess what? The son that he's willing to get a hug from, he could be my shliach because I can't give him a hug. At least he can receive love from somewhere else. And I looked at this yid, I said, my holy brother, if you only knew that when you're walking down the street and you saw another Yidlo who mamash doesn't know anything about Hashem, you should know that Yidlo mamash, Hashem wants to give him a hug and a kiss so badly, but he can't because he's not an Adam, doesn't have a goof. I said, but Hashem wants you to be a shliach to give this guy a hug and a kiss. Hashem wants you to be able to be there for him when he can't be there. And this Yidlo mamash at this point, and by the way, blows me away. This is about, to show what it is. Sometimes in a debate, especially, I usually don't debate people and get so heated and get so filled. And I'm not even yelling now about the way that we were there. And by the way, this happened on the side of the highway. At this point, we had already stopped for like 20 minutes. We're sitting on the side of the highway just talking. And he looks at me and he goes, Gavalt, you should know that when I left the Kotel, I was with a whole group of Yidden. We went to daven together. And I got disconnected from them, and they ended up taking a hasa'ah home, and I've been having to tramp around. And he goes, could be this whole thing needed to happen just so I could bump into you and hear all this. And at this point, I also was struggling. One of the things, I was davening for the Kotel, and I'm on the way to go see my Rebbe to talk, and talking with my Rebbeim about it. It's like, sharing Torah, sharing in a greater scale online, etc. And this guy looks at me and he goes, Yehuda, you gotta open an organization and teach these things for the world. And my friend Yossi looks at me and goes, if that's not an answer from Hashem, I don't know what is. Like, to have a guy from Mamish, from Super Haredi, to be able to look and hear this and tell this to you, an extremist, and Mamish be able to say this to you like this. So I was blown away that Mamish was able to he was makabel. I was shocked even that. And Gvalt, you can imagine, we just, left each other in that evening just from Teich Ava and Chiba and connection. And this was, I turned, as soon as we began to drive away, I mamish turned to my friend and I was like, I can't even believe this whole experience. It was so surreal. It was so nuts. It wasn't me. I was even the whole thing. And by the way, I left out a lot of the conversation, obviously, because it was a lot longer. But one of the things that he began to get into is he began to draw from halacha all sorts of different rayas from halacha of why you can't love somebody like this, and these different proofs. And I am not a baki in halacha, and I need to learn more, and I am working on that. And Hashem had such siyata d'shmaya. Every single thing that he brought up, Hashem just mamish dropped in my head. Oh, I remembered I learned a rishon on that sugya, that mamish held this, and I remember I actually had seen the Shulchan Aruch on that, and I mamish was able to answer it and explain it every step of the way. And it was a pliya in my eyes every time that he said it. And suddenly, mamish, the explanation and the understanding, Hashem just gifted every time, and it was an experience that was just mind blowing. I even turned to my friend there. I was like, you realize, I do not know. It happened to be that every sugya that the guy was drawing from, I almost was able to answer from, but it was not something that I normally in a vikuach in halacha. I'm not. I don't think I can generally hold water enough. I know what to do, Baruch Hashem, a little bit, but Anyhow, so that was so powerful and so amazing, and I just wanted to share this. And it was my friend was like, he's like, you have no idea that your mama should change somebody's life. Like we were just shlichim to really have an effect on somebody's life who mamish thinks differently. And I wonder what his Shabbos was like, because I know my experience from this whole thing my Shabbos was amazing. And yeah, I love you all. Hope that you get chizuk from the story. I know that I am. And yeah, Be'ezus Hashem, we should be zeicher to love every Yidla and be matach in the Shechina and create shalom and achva and connection. And Be'ezus Hashem, we should see the Beis Hamikdash B'Meir B'Yameinu. Amen.